Freaky Tales is directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, who you may know from directing movies like Captain Marvel and Half Nelson, and this is a new movie that is out from them in theaters this weekend. It actually premiered at Sundance last year, however I did not get a chance to see it then, though I do know a few people who did. But anyway, this takes place in Oakland in 1987 when some really bizarre stuff was going on. And over here you follow a bunch of characters through 4 different storylines as they're all having to deal with their own set of issues, all while the whole scene in Oakland is transforming. But it's also very interesting seeing all of it come together because it's also based on a lot of true accounts of real things that happened in Oakland, and having all of those stories told with a bit of a fantastical twist to them, with this cloud that's hovering over the entire city which has these powers and green lightning coming down from it, is incredibly interesting. And now you have an anthology movie. I did not know about these things going into the movie though. I went in completely blind. I had no idea what to expect from it. But from the looks of it, it was very much appearing like a movie that was a love letter to the 1980s. It felt like an 80s action movie. It is that, among other things. This is a very fun and entertaining nostalgia trip in a lot of ways, but it's also a very fun love letter to Oakland in general. A lot of people maybe don't always realize this, but there is so much culture that has come out of Oakland when it comes to the artists that that city has bred, and when it comes to the amazing things that they have accomplished over the years. There is so much history to Oakland, and while not all of the stories explored in Freaky Tales are necessarily tales of joy or where things happen 100% in a great way, at the same time, there is something about the perseverance and just the greatness of Oakland that comes through. I have a feeling that as a love letter to Oakland, a lot of people will watch the movie from there and probably really like what's happening over here. There's a lot of reverence there for that city. And all of the stories that you get are to do with just arts and culture, which you have to see over here. Like when it comes to the music scene in Oakland, when it comes to the art scene in Oakland, when it comes to just being yourself in Oakland, or trying to find a better life in Oakland, or the sports factor of it. Everything about it is encapsulated over here. And the characters that you get out of those storylines are very fun. And there's some really good performances over here from everybody. There's really not a performance over here which I didn't like. Everybody did a really good job over here. The 3 main cast members who you see listed in all the marketing with Pedro Pascal, Ben Mendelsohn, and Jay Ellis, they're all the 3 main cast members who you see listed in all of the marketing with Pedro Pascal, Ben Mendelsohn, and Jay Ellis, they're very good over here. And the characters that they're playing, some great, some not so much, like they're very well executed, and I thought they did a very good job over here. But I liked everybody in here. And as I already mentioned, the movie is very visually stylish with a lot of splashes of color throughout, and also a lot of very fun work with aspect ratios. They're not all in a consistent aspect ratio. They keep switching it up, and again, it just the way that they do that is a lot of fun, how it pertains to each and every story and how cinematic it can all feel. I mean, this is a very fun experience overall. I will say though that some of the stories were not as effective as maybe some other ones. Like, I do feel like there is a little more focus given to some of the stories when it comes to how it wants to bring certain points home, and in some cases it is very brief, and I feel like it could have done a little bit more. There's one storyline with a bunch of teenagers who are trying to keep their safe space basically intact, this place where they all get to meet and hang out, and it's constantly being attacked by some very awful people. And that entire storyline, yes, there's a very specific point that they're trying to make with that story, as well as just have some fun with it, but I feel like it's very brief. Like it starts and ends very quickly, surprisingly. One of the stories is with Normani and Dominique Thorne, who are an up-and-coming hip-hop duo in Oakland who want to make their name in the music scene, and they have the chance to do so, and it feels like something might work out. I feel like they could have had a little bit more time. Like, that subplot I feel like also goes by quite quickly, because there are more areas that the movie does focus on a little bit more, and I felt like this could have been a place where some more expansion could have been done. But when you get to some of the storylines, like with Pedro Pascal's character, Ben Mendelsohn's character, Jay Ellis's character, there's some really cool stuff over there, and I feel like those were done a bit better. And I think that also doesn't help that there's some tonal discrepancies between stories. Like, there are big shifts that happen in terms of what's going on, and sometimes it can be very abrupt. Things can happen very rapidly, going from very funny to very, very serious very quickly. And when you compare that to the way that the movie is showing it, with the more, supernatural, fantastical nature of things happening in Oakland at that time, it can sometimes make it feel a little more uneven. Like, you can maybe see the wobbliness of some of that a little bit more. That being said, by the end of the movie, I had a really good time with it. And I do recommend checking it out. I have this feeling that towards the end of the year, there's going to be some like overlooked movies lists which will have this in here. And I say that because right now Minecraft is out in theaters, and when I was walking out, the crowds for Minecraft were insane for a Friday night. I don't know how this movie is going to do, so I mean, go check it out, like maybe if more people go check it out, it won't be an overlooked movie. But at the same time, I have a feeling that there will be some kind of following around it. It'll definitely have its fans, especially if you've liked a lot of similar zany stuff before, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. There's a lot of that seeped in here as well, so that makes it a lot of fun. And overall, it's just a really fun time. I'm gonna give Freaky Tales a 7.5 out of 10. I'm not sure if it'll work for everybody. There are definitely some, choices in terms of how the movie is presented that may or may not work for you, but I think it's worth a shot, and I do recommend going and checking it out. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.